So this is a terrible story that comes out of Washington State. Travis Decker, 32-year-old Travis Decker. He is the father of these 3 children, 9 years old, 8 years old, and 5 years old. And he had custody of them, and he was supposed to return them on Friday at 8 p.m. He didn't return them on Friday at 8 p.m. He was able to get custody of them during the day for 2 days, in spite of him being homeless and having borderline personality disorder. He was homeless. He lived in hotels and campgrounds, and sometimes he would actually live inside his truck. This is the truck right here. This is the father right here, and then these are the 3 girls up here. So they've been missing for 5, maybe 6 days. Now, you have, 48 hours to find the murderer. A lot of times the case could go cold. He could kind of be anywhere. I'm going to look at a map here in a second, but first I want to talk about all the details of what we know about the guy and the circumstances surrounding him. He's a military guy. He was in the U.S. Army 2013. So he was in the U.S. Army for 7 years, and then he was a part of the National Guard from 2021 to 2022 or 24. He was in there for 3 years. So he actually has 10 years of military training. 7 years with the U.S. Army, 3 years with the National Guard. They say he's got military experience with wilderness training. It kind of makes me think that maybe he might be there with the devil in the Ozarks. Now, they had found the truck near a campground that was west of Leavenworth. Leavenworth is 70 miles east of Seattle. So go from Seattle, 70 miles east, go to Leavenworth, and then just west there's a campground. That's where they found the truck. And the truck was abandoned. And the bodies of the 3 girls were found 100 yards away from the truck. The bodies were in relative close proximity with each other. They don't know if he is armed or not. So they don't know if he's got a gun or not. But they are saying since he's armed and dangerous, if you come across him, make sure you call the police. The 3 girls had died of asphyxiation, which means that they were choked to death, and that their wrists were zip-tied. He had zip-tied their wrist, which kind of indicates some kind of deliberation. There's a GoFundMe for the mother. It's raised $200,000, and there's a $20,000 reward for anybody who finds him. This is reminiscent of the Gabby Petito search. You got a massive hunt. You got a massive manhunt searching for this Travis Decker. This Travis Decker who did this foul, evil deed. So, Travis Decker stole the mother's world. Travis Decker stole the mother's world. 3 worlds. That mother is going to have 3 massive black holes in her heart for the rest of her life. I heard this quote where you're supposed to tell a friend that when they die, wherever they go when they die, that you'll be there with them. So I think it's important for the survivors to remember the dead, to remember the girls, who they were, and what they were about. Now, where is he? They have not found him. They have not found him. Since he's homeless and he doesn't have his truck, it seems like he could still be in the state of Washington, hiding out in the national forest east of Seattle. And so I want to take a look at the map, but first let's get some better pictures of this guy. He's kind of got his face covered right there. So let's take a look at some of these pictures so that way we can try to get a better look at him. We only got these two main pictures, and he's got that weird mustache to where he's got like a more mustache on this side. I've seen it on both of this, right? He's kind of got like a weird overlap with those mustache, and with facial hair and, hair on top of his head, he could easily just shave all of his hair, cut his hair, and then he'll look different. So I wish they would put out images to where we could see what he would look like, with facial hair, without facial hair, maybe with a bandana on, and it looks like he's got his ear pierced. He's got like a black ear piercing right there. So this is the monster. Who knows what he was thinking, why he did what he did. We don't know where he's at. We don't know where he is at. Children are innocent. And so we need to find the guy. We need to find Travis Decker. Where is Travis Decker? Where did this son of a bitch go? Where did this son of a bitch, where did he go? Where did he go? So here's a map of Washington State. Okay, so you got Seattle, and then we're going to go over here to Leavenworth. And then there are Fort Leavenworth. I think there might be a Fort Leavenworth, isn't there? I don't know if it's Washington Leavenworth. But already, just as I, scroll into this, this would be the Rocky Mountains. So he is part of the Rocky Mountains. And when I get closer and closer, I see several mountain chains, right? There's a mountain chain right there, mountain chain right there. There's a whole bunch of mountain chains. So let's go to Leavenworth. You got Dragon Tail Peak, Mount Stewart. There is so many places that he could be hiding. I mean, this is pretty rural. This is pretty rural. I mean, you got just, a couple main roads that kind of go in and out. You got Road 2 right there. You got 97. And then somehow you get to Chumstick and then Chewacum, Shaston, Dryden. And they're saying that the campground, I don't know exactly which campground it was in, but they said it was just east of Leavenworth. And so you can kind of see the cities, right? The cities, Leavenworth is pretty, I don't know how big Leavenworth is, but it looks pretty congested. But with wilderness training, when you're walking, how long can you walk? You can walk like 20 miles a day. So technically, he might be able to walk 100 miles. Now, he would be going up and down mountains, and so, that's got to be rough. But another thing with mountain terrain, there's just infinite places to hide. There's a lot of rocks, so he could use weapons. Even if they're using drones and aerial, there's just so many places that he could be. He could be in caves. He could be in some, he could be anywhere. He could be anywhere. He could be in some sort of railroad, some sort of... He could be anywhere. So there's some things we could presume. He started at he started at Leavenworth. And since he started at Leavenworth, somewhere on the west side of Leavenworth, maybe in Leavenworth itself, then did he run this way? It wouldn't make sense for him to run into the city. It wouldn't make sense for him to really cross any of these interstates. Though if he did walk up north, he probably could cross this interstate. I think it would be safe to say that he is on the west side of Leavenworth. Now that doesn't really help anything. Well, you got Icicle Creek right here. I mean, look at all these mountain chains. You just got so many places. And then with the trees, you got all these trees right here. And so he could just hide underneath a rock. He could hide underneath a tree. And like I said, he could be staying in a cave. And then if he was to walk 100 miles, even walking 100 miles, he could only go so far 100 miles. So it's, right there in the kind of the center of Washington. So if he's, somewhere around here, I guess technically he might be able to get to Canada that would be if he just walked straight to Canada. And then if he was to go down, there seems to be more mountains up here. It looks like there's some snow-capped mountains. It would be cold, it would be chilly, and so he'll need to have a warm place, and then he'll need food and water. He'll need food, water, some sort of shelter, and even if he doesn't have any guns on him, he could have rocks, he could have sticks, he could find something, a rod or some metal rod or something. So, yeah, we need to find this guy. We need to find this Travis Decker. There's a $20,000 reward, so not only are you doing something good, but you could also, you could profit off of it. I feel like he would stay in the mountain areas. I just don't see him walking towards, any interstates at all or anything where there's people. I would think that he would just keep walking into, these mountainous terrains and just kind of keep walking. I don't know how far you can keep walking. Almost, would he go to Canada? Would that be a good idea, just to go to Canada? There's no real good place for him to go. That's presuming, he doesn't have any resources. Since he's killed his 3 daughters and he's taken off, then there's some other possibilities. If you ever played Grand Theft Auto, he could take a car. He could try to take some sort of aircraft or sea craft. If he gets ambitious, he could do more. He could do more than what it seems like he has. So, whereas we can presume that he is probably east of Leavenworth. He's east of Leavenworth, and he doesn't have many resources with him. He could get a hold of some, right? So, you don't want to be too presumptuous. And we should try to find out, exactly what he looks like, right? So he seems like he's a little darker complected here. It looks like he's got some olive, I don't know, maybe Latin, but then he kind of seems pretty pale right here. So I'm not for sure. I feel like these are not very good pictures. You get a decent idea. You should get a decent idea. He's got that mole on his nose right there. He has a pretty symmetrical face. He's kind of got some squinty eyes going on. Dark hair. Dark facial hair. I'm not for sure how tall he is or what his body weight is. But when I think about Gabby Petito, even though you had a lot of authorities that were looking for Gabby Petito, it was actually a guy in an RV. And he had a dash camera on his RV, and we were able to find where Gabby Petito was buried based upon just a random RV driving somewhere in a random spot, and he took a look at the dash camera, and he had actually captured them two together. As he was pulling up on them, Gabby Petito actually had shut the door. So, Travis Decker, what the hell have you done, man? What the hell have you done? When I look at this map, I see just kind of a lot of cities on this side. Then I see, Seattle is congested. But it does seem like there's just a lot of mountainous terrain. And there aren't many roads going in and out. You got just number 2. You got Interstate 90. You got 97. So you only kind of have a few roads there. And so I would think that he would avoid those roads. Maybe he'll be right there, just, west of Leavenworth. But he could just keep traveling more and more west. He could kind of go down here, down here somewhere. Or he could go on up here somewhere. It would just seem crazy for him to go this way. But he could, I don't know where his stomping grounds are. I don't know if he has a particular spot that he likes to go, since he's staying in hotels and campgrounds, and then sometimes his truck, he could just be, going all over the place. There's Lake Chelan. He'll need water, right? But then the snow, I don't know if he'll be able to he might not be able to survive it, even if he has wilderness training. I mean, what are you going to do? Just eat berries and nuts and leaves? That's not nutritious. That's not going to give you enough energy, enough calories. You're not going to get your protein, your fats, or your carbohydrates. So he might not survive. And then maybe maybe he feels bad. Maybe he feels guilty. Maybe he'll just do something to himself to choke his own daughters. He had them zip tied. I mean, that's just like, what the hell was going on? What were those last moments like for those little girls? Father picks him up, and they're always a little worried about him, but then, they believe in him and love him and adore him, and then maybe they had said something that annoyed him or insulted him, or maybe he's trying to get back at the mother for some reason, for something she had said, and maybe some reason he thought one of them said or did something he didn't like, and then he's chastising them, punishing them, zip ties them, and then he chokes one, and then because he choked the one, then he would choke the others. I'm not for sure. Was this deliberate? Did he plan on choking all three of his daughters, right away? Was it just something that happened the spur of the moment? I guess when I put myself in the position of the girls, you're just innocent and you're just hoping the best for him, and now he's acting crazy, and now you're up against this military man, and he didn't need a weapon, right? He didn't need a rock or a stick or a rod. He just had his bare hands, and maybe he did it with his bare hands. Maybe he used a zip tie or something, but goodness gracious, what the hell did you do, man? You got Liberty, you got Bristol, Clee, Alum, Easton, Snow, Qualmy Pass, Wellington, Scenic, Burney, Nason Creek. These would be like all the places in the near vicinity. But like I said, if he just keeps walking, he can walk about 20 miles a day. So he could be, when I think of like the whole circle, he could be pretty much anywhere like in the state of Washington. It'd be crazy for him to go straight to Seattle. But 100 miles, that's basically everything on the screen is where he could go. So the Canadian border is right there. You got the Yakama Indian Reservation, Mattawa Rural City, Othello, Colville Reservation, Tonasket, Oroville, Mount Vernon, Anacortes, Victoria, Port Angeles, Turnwater, Olympia, Centralia, Castle Rock. So there's a bunch of places that he could be. There's a lot of authorities that are looking for him. There's a lot of state, local, and federal authorities all looking for this guy. And hopefully they catch him. And they bring him to justice. Justice is eye for an eye, and there's nothing more wicked. I mean, murder is pretty bad in of itself. That's one of the worst, if not the worst, crime out there. But to kill your own children, your own flesh and blood. The point of life is to do something to outlive it, says James Joyce, and he was going to outlive his life no matter how terrible his life got, because he had 3 daughters. They were going to, they could have children later on. So he was going to outlive his life and then some, and continue to outlive his life. So it's not just a crime it's against killing your own children is a crime against God, it's against man, it's against nature. It's just kind of against everything. To murder your own children, it makes me think of that one guy in Colorado who had killed his wife and children because he wanted to be with another woman. And that's just absurd. That's so absurd. Frankly, Susan Smith, she killed her own 2 kids because she wanted to be with another guy. Like, what the hell are people thinking? Like, even if he was or she was interested in you somewhat, to think, okay, I'll just get rid of them and then we can finally be together and be happy. No, you will never be happy. You'll never be together and you'll never be happy. You messed up. You messed up big fucking time. Holy shit. So hopefully Travis Decker is found and arrested and is taken into custody, and they have a trial, quick and speedy and public trial. Give him a lawyer, give him the best lawyer out there, let the two sides battle it out as much as possible. I'm not sure if they have capital punishment in Washington or not, but it's either that or life in prison. And yeah, holy shit. You got Clifford Pinchot, Mount Rainier National Forest, Mount Baker, Snoqualmie National Forest. A lot of places he could go. Let's just see if we could draw just like a little way for him to go. So let's say he's just right here on the west side of Leavenworth. How is this topography looking? This is like up on the mountain ridge, right? Or is this down by the creek? Are these the mountain ridges right here? It's kind of hard to tell. The satellite is the best way to look. But if he was right here, and just kind of looking at the way I'm looking at it, it seems like these are mountain ridges around here, and then these are the depressed areas, so these would be the valleys. And if you're right there, looks like you could just go into a bunch of trees right here. Looks like you could go all the way to the Leavenworth ski hill, the Tumwater Mountain. Looks like you can, it would seem crazy to get onto the mountain tops, because that would seem like you could be seen by anybody. But that would be a quicker way to cross a mountain is from the top of the mountain. I don't know if he has any maps. He might just be visual. So if he doesn't go up into these trees, he could just kind of be bouncing here. Maybe he could follow the roadway, but like follow the roadway in the mountains, just go up the U.S. Highway 2 for a while. Just as a betting man, I feel like he wouldn't just stay right there. I would feel like he would just kind of keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. And I bet you he's in these mountain ranges right here. Seems like there's a bunch of trees right there. There's a bunch of crevices, some valleys. No telling how many caves are all over the place. So as a betting man, I just, right around here from not Icicle Ridge, but maybe he's around Icicle Ridge somewhere. Do they even have names for these places? No. So he's in the Rocky Mountains. This looks like looks like a hole right there. I don't know. It could be anywhere. He could be anywhere. But if I was the authorities, I would definitely focus on 30 or a 40 mile radius just west of Leavenworth. But then that's where Seattle is, right? That direction. So maybe it would make sense for him to cross Road 2 and be over here somewhere. And there's just as many, mountains over here. Not as steep mountains, though. These mountains don't seem to compare to the steepness of these mountains, because these mountains are so steep, and I'm not really seeing much housing. It doesn't seem like there's much housing at all. It doesn't seem like there's much of any civilization here. And we're kind of able to see individual trees. So I wouldn't guess that he would be in a spot where there's a whole bunch of bare, just a few trees. It'd be where there would be a bunch of trees. But that's just, I'm just speculating at this point. And then it would be nice to know if they found any leads. If they found a shoe, if they found a belt, if somebody had saw somebody, if you have some explorers who had seen something, but usually they stay pretty tight-lipped about that. But he doesn't have communication, so it makes sense for us to talk as much as possible and to be as transparent as possible and to get all the information out there as possible. Holy shit, man. Travis Decker. What the fuck, man? God damn.